Okay, it's my pleasure right now to introduce Richard Cooper. Richard is the founder and owner of Total Debt Freedom. So his business is helping consumers with their personal credit. He does some work with businesses as well. He joined EO in 2010. He started this business because he saw an opportunity and he filled the void. And he's been on the Profit 50, Profit 100, and Profit 200 multiple times, 3 times. Started the business in 2004. And on a personal note, he's told me he's a total petro head. He has a YouTube channel for entrepreneurs in cars. So I'm sure there's not too many of those. And just so you know, we are videoing this presentation, and because Richard wants to put this on his YouTube channel as well.
So be rowdy. All right, thanks everybody. So when Kira asked me to do a talk on money, my first thought was, does she want me to talk about how to make money and manage money and deal with credit card debt, because that's my business, and I thought it was kind of boring and very unsexy. So I wanted to speak more from experience, because that's really what EO is all about, is experience sharing. So I put together about 10, 11 slides, and I'm going to try to dump on you in the next 30 minutes the best shit that I've learned in the last 10 years in my business. So first things first, this was April 2007, all the way up to about 2009, late 2009. And this was Google pay-per-click marketing. Straightforward concept: when the sun shines, grow hay. Everybody's got an opportunity in their business right now where they can go market or advertise in some niche, in some area that you may or may not realize that has huge upside potential in it that you're not touching. For me, it was during this time. The mistake that I made here, my big aha moment, my big experience share for you here, was I should have spent way more money during this time advertising, because it wasn't until about 3 or 4 years later that my competitors, people in the bankruptcy trustee space and credit counselors and such, started realizing that you could capture leads online and make money that way. During this entire time, the cost for me to capture a lead was about $4 to $5. Now it's about $40 to $50. So it's gotten considerably more expensive. Okay, so as entrepreneurs, you tend to want to control stuff and deal with people that are acrimonious and teach them lessons and, boom, boom, boom. You always want to get in a fight. Lesson that I've learned from dealing with lawyers is they're probably the most expensive place you can send your money. Probably within the last 10 years, I've sent at least $150,000 to the back pocket of lawyers 4 or 5 times. My experience has been, it's been a colossal waste of money. You lose a ton of sleep at night. It's probably the most draining thing that I've, definitely on my ledgers when I look at my QuickBooks table, it's definitely the most draining table. As far as my time and resources. I remember there was a time that I was negotiating a contract with an affiliate producer in the US, and I think we blew through about $18,000 over 3 months negotiating terms back and forth on a contract that we never executed. We never made a dime off that deal. So big lesson there is, if you're going to start making concessions to service providers that keep marking up your agreement because you want to do business with them, it gives you a real sense of the sort of working relationship that you're going to have with them. So you probably want to try to decide as early on if that's something that you want to keep doing. Blowing nearly 20 grand on lawyers was a total waste of my time in that sense. Click the next one for me. Partnerships. You've got business partnerships, you've got marriages. I've had them fail on both sides. So I've had 2 business partners where it never worked out for me. A lot of sleep was lost, a lot of money was sent lawyers' ways. There was, in fact, a friendship that I had had for about 18 years that was totally destroyed. We don't talk anymore. And you really got to be careful about who you partner up with in life and in marriage. The reason why I've got jobs in Wozniak up there is there's a concept that I learned at a speaking event that I attended a couple of years ago, and there's usually an inside guy and an outside guy when it comes to partnerships. Woz was the inside guy for Apple, and Jobs was the outside guy. And those tend to be the situations where partnerships really work out very well between the 2 parties. If you've got 2 competing entities in the organization, fighting for that top seat, it's really difficult to move forward when you've got 2 chiefs in that one tribe. And be very, very careful on the relationship side, guys. I don't want to talk about that one too much, but I think the meme speaks for itself.
Don't get married.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that room that have been through there. Marry the right person is what you want to do. You want to find the right partner. And you can't manage what you don't measure. You know, there's a lot of entrepreneurs I know that really just, you know, you're the everything guy, especially when you're at the EOA level and you're doing less than $1 million a year. I remember at that stage, I was the janitor, I was the customer service person, I did the bookkeeping for 3 days a month. You do a lot of stuff, and if you're not paying attention to the numbers on a regular basis, it wasn't until about 2 years in that I started to reconcile my numbers on a monthly basis and really understand what was happening with the money. If there's one thing that you should look at on your QuickBooks file, or you know, if it's another accounting software that competes with it, profit and loss previous year comparison. Drill down on all the items, make sure you understand where your money's coming from and where it's going. There's lots of opportunities, even if you spend a couple hours a month going through those tables, getting your head around what you're doing with your money and where it's going. There's tons of money to be made just by moving around some numbers very, very quickly and easily.
Can you say that again? There's a way that you can make money by moving the numbers around.
Yeah, you know, for example, lawyers. Why do I need to blow $18,000 on this particular law firm in the last 3 months when I could have, you know, spent that in marketing and advertising? Employees, this will happen in your business, guaranteed. I got into this phase, if you can hit the next slide for me. I got into this phase where I really drank the company culture Kool-Aid, and we did a lot in my business to really up the ante in the game. My background's from the collection industry, as Carrie mentioned. I was, you know, I saw an opportunity to help people get out of credit card debt and avoid bankruptcy. So the collection industry is a really shitty business to be in. They're really tough on their employees. They really browbeat people over numbers and making the money. So one of the things I wanted to do when I started up my own business was really create a company culture that embraced humans and really created the best possible environment so I would attract the best possible talent. And I spent a lot of time touring other companies in the GTA. I went down to a few different companies in the US and toured their offices to get an idea of what really amazing and awesome company culture looks like. And we went all in. This is just a picture of one of the rooms in our old office and t-shirts we had done up for the staff, which embraced the 4 core values, painted a wall orange, everybody had hand stamps on the walls, and you can see pictures of company events and parties. We used to throw parties to hire people. I can probably talk more about that in the Q&A because I only have half an hour here, but if you go too deep, you can throw a lot of time and resources making people really happy and stoked about the work environment. When we hired people, we hired them with 4 weeks vacation. We gave them RSP top-ups and all kinds of benefits and tweaks and lunches and all that. You've got to balance that very, very carefully because you can give them too much and you end up like a situation in the other slide where you've got somebody just sitting around playing cards all day. And it's really frustrating as an entrepreneur when you give, and then you've got people that kind of sit back and, you know, take advantage of that, or it feels like that they're taking advantage of that. So you have to be very careful to balance company culture and where you throw your time and resources with that. Okay, advertising. So I talked about the Google pay-per-click strategy that I used that was very profitable, that I didn't throw a lot of money at. I threw about $40,000 into a radio and television campaign at one point because somebody in my company convinced me it would be a great idea to brand and grow the business that way. So we bought up some media buys. This is me in the recording studio doing the, I think this was for the radio ad. And we did a television spot as well on CP24 on channel 24, the little scrolling bars on the bottom. And can anybody guess how much money we made off that? Yeah, it was zero.
Really?
It was a big fat donut. We didn't make a single dime off media buys on television and radio. And we put a lot of time and resources into creating the right message and television and radio. And I mean, we're dealing in a space where it's credit card debt. You know, I've heard radio ads on where it's I repair. I think something like a third of people out there have smartphones that are Apple now. So they're not hitting everybody that's listening to that to fix an Apple device. So this is something where most of the population in Canada usually carries a credit card balance month after month, and we got no business off it whatsoever. So my lesson there was media buys, television and radio do not work for small businesses. If you've got deep pockets like big brands, car companies, Coca-Cola, stuff like that, it's probably just somewhere for them to throw some money to keep shareholders happy and, you know, to build brand awareness. But for smaller businesses, I'd stay definitely off television and radio and spend more time online. There are really good ways inexpensively to get your message in front of people that want to hear about what your offer is. Get a very good bean counter. For the first 2 years, I didn't have one. After that, I had somebody that was, by all measures, phenomenal. My other piece of advice, my other experience share I can give you on this one is get a bean counter that is entrepreneurial. I found that the guy that I moved towards being a CMA, he was a sole practitioner. He basically worked for himself, had a small portfolio of less than 30 clients. He was a guy that really got into it and really understood the business. He was a guy that would say to me if I hadn't seen him for about 2 or 3 months, hey, let's grab lunch, I want to catch up and understand what's going on in your business. That's another tip for lawyers too, guys. If you're going to spend any time with lawyers, make sure they understand your business, because what your needs are so much more important than what the books and the rules say and case law. They need to understand what your needs are as an entrepreneur and as a business owner to offer you the best advice possible, and the same thing goes for accountants. So if you're looking for bean counters, I'd encourage you to stay away from the bigger firms and find the more boutique providers that are more entrepreneurial, that understand business, and will offer to spend time with you in your business so they can get their head around what you're all about and where your money comes from and what your struggles are and what your strategies are. The guy that I've had has been a godsend for me. Get a sober second thinker. This may be a partner in your business. This is my brother, my younger, better looking, less follically challenged younger brother. He's also in my business. He's been with me since 2005. I'm the guy that just is hard-headed and go full force forward, and I'll just make a decision and just say that's the way it's going to be. He's also a shareholder in the business, so he's got an opinion that I value, and he's got a totally different perspective. This is yin and yang. This is a partnership that has worked out for us. So if you're going headstrong into situations and you need to run something up the flagpole, it's always good to have a sober second thinker that's going to give you some feedback and some opinion from a different perspective. And consider, you don't necessarily have to do and follow their instructions. There's a reason why you probably have a little plaque that says President and CEO. You're the guy that runs the business and makes the final call. But have a sober second thinker look at certain things in your business when it comes to big decisions. They can be very, very useful and valuable at times. And don't forget, business is all about delivering value and making money. A lot of entrepreneurs forget that businesses are about making money, and they'll just go out and create cool products and sexy stuff and hipster this and that. And I've seen so many guys up and down, and they're out of business so quickly within a few years. It's about making money, guys. You have to throw off money if you're in business. If you're not, you're out of cash real quick. That's my chop. Thanks. Do you want me to take some questions now, or do you want to wait for the panel?
Let's get the panel together.
Okay.
The panel is like at 1:45, we're supposed to be a break, so we're early.
Okay, do some questions.
Sure. I'll start here.
So you mentioned like with your service providers, and I work with my accountants now on a like retainer, so they just kind of give me a price. Is
Yeah.
that how you work with yours? Because then you can pick up the phone and talk to them.
Well, the relationship I have with my CMA is if I want to talk to him for half an hour about something that's business related, he'll usually give me the time and not bill me for it. If it's a project where we have to put a strategy together to build out a certain part of the business and there's some research involved, some phone calls, and he's got to rely on a tax lawyer or something like that, that's when he starts billing me for his time. Lunches are free. I mean, when we get together, it's usually just back and forth. It's like, hey, I haven't seen you in 3 months, let me take you out for lunch. And then I'm like, okay, it's my turn. But generally speaking, he's at the point where he recognizes that I'm an important part of his business, and I feel like he's an important part of my business, so we kind of have that sort of relationship. So it's great if you can get to that point with an accountant or a CMA. Julie?
I was going to ask a related question, but when you're talking about the financial resources, so you've got your external accountant, and then what about internally? Do you feel like you apply the same rationale to your bookkeeping level?
Yeah, so the question is, do you apply your same rationale to the internal bookkeeping? And yeah, absolutely. I mean, he'll basically give me the standards and what CRA is looking for and the way that he wants to see things operate. And then you've got to understand basically the risk formula. Like there's certain things that you want to do in business that are going to push boundaries, but you don't break the law, right? So you definitely want to follow his rules, because there's a reason why these guys are so conservative. They're that way. They've got obligations and responsibility. So as an entrepreneur, you tend to plow forward and just say, right, let's go and do this and blaze this path. And then, you've got somebody like a CMA or accountant that's your sober second thinker and that sort of sense and says, well, hold on a second, you might want to consider it this way. But yeah, we definitely adopt the same policies in our own business. Saw another hand go up. Hi.
Thanks for today's our money day, so I want to just, it sounded like from a marketing perspective, that the spending the money on the advertising campaign, the radio, you could see a line item that made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
When did you figure, how long did it take you to determine that that made no sense? And then after that, you must have shifted directions, and what path did you go on?
Yeah.
Did you have a plan?
Yeah, so determining when the radio and television campaign didn't make sense for us was pretty straightforward. We allocated a unique toll-free number. So we had the offer online for the radio ad, as an example, we had a call to action to a unique landing page that was specific to the offer on the radio and a unique telephone number that was specific to the offer on the radio. And we tracked, I believe, 3 or 4 calls off the number, no visits to the website, and nothing closed. So we knew exactly what the ROI was on that investment of that media buy.
And so I guess the follow-up to that is, so what did you do next, and how did that decision process?
Well, you stick with what works. If it ain't broken, then why try to fix it?
So you did have something that was working.
Yeah,
yeah.
This was a, it was a moonshot. Every once in a while in a business, you're going to invest some time and money into something that's like a media buy, and you can't do a $5,000 or a $2,000 test. You've got to go in for 30 days, buy the media, and see what it does. So we ran it for 30 days. We spent well over $30,000, and it went nowhere. So it was like, that's it, we're done. Then the radio and television companies were saying, well, buy some more and we'll give you a 50% discount. It's like, no thanks, we're done.
You mentioned throwing parties to hire people. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah,
I know
so
it's money day, but
yeah, it's not my own ideal. Most of the stuff that I've used and basically applied to my business has been more along the lines of rip off and duplicate. And I got this from Razor Suleiman, who used to run a company called I Love Rewards. And no, sorry, it wasn't Razor, it was Vishen Lakhiani. And he told the story about how he used to throw parties to hire people. And we actually applied this to 2 hiring sprees, and it worked really, really well for us. And what we did was we told all of our staff, I think we had about 20 people at the time, we said, we need to hire 3 more people in the next couple months. We're going to throw a party on this date. The theme, we actually used to call it the F Winter Party, because usually by February, people are tired of winter in Canada, it's cold. So by the end of February, we threw a F Winter Party. It was kind of like, tiki theme. It was open bar and food was included. And we told our staff, bring somebody that you think would be a good fit for the business that's currently employed. We didn't want anybody that was unemployed. We want somebody that had a job that they were considering leaving to join us. We let them party with us for the evening for 2-3 hours. By the end of the night, I basically stand up and thank everybody for coming and let them know that we're hiring. Part of the reason why we asked them out tonight is so we can meet you and understand you and get a feel for you. We're doing some group interviews on these dates. If you can attend, we'd love to have you. And we always had a ton of people that wanted to, get into our company at that time because they just, it's that whole birds of a feather flock together. They want to be a part of you if you look, feel, and smell like they are, right? It's, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. They want to be part of that duck sort of thing, in the water. So that was really effective for us. And it was probably less than $2,000, $2,500 a party. You can go and blow that in a newspaper ad campaign and have to sift through thousands of garbage resumes. At least this way you've got highly qualified people that know people that work in the company, that get a feel for it, you get a feel for them, and then you start the interviewing process.